Congratulations to this year's College of Westchester graduates. I would like to thank President Mary Beth Del Balzo, all of the faculty and students for inviting me to speak at this year's virtual commencement ceremony. This is such an exciting moment for all of you, a true cause for celebration. I am sure that when you enrolled at the College of Westchester a few years ago, this was not the graduation ceremony that you probably envisioned. None of us did. None of us realized how our lives were about to change. You might even feel a little subdued after a year of online learning, Zooms, and keeping our distance. The last thing you would want to mark this milestone with is even more screen time. But don't feel that way. In fact, you should be celebrating even more loudly. If anything, the events of the past year and all that you have endured to get to this point makes this occasion even more momentous. That you are here is very impressive. I know it could not have been easy. Some of you were working while attending classes at the same time, and some, on top of that, had to juggle family responsibilities too, while studying and learning in environments that were not particularly conducive to quiet study and test taking. You couldn't see your family and friends, so much missing from our lives: church, restaurants, gyms, weddings, and other social events, the people and places we rely on for support and enjoyment. And the situation in the world seemed to change rapidly day by day. But your goal remained the same. You persevered, you met the challenge head on, and you succeeded, because here you are today. Not many people will be able to tell their children and grandchildren that they graduated from college during the worst pandemic in modern history. You should be so proud, as I am sure your families are. Now, in many different respects, it's time for a new beginning. As the Executive Vice President of Patient Care Services and Chief Nursing Officer at White Plains Hospital, this is something I myself personally and professionally welcome. In my 37 years as a professional caregiver, I have never experienced anything as close to the scope of COVID-19, nor could I have imagined that a virus would cause so much destruction and interruption in our lives. But within a few weeks, I knew the unimaginable was happening, and we had no choice but to respond. I would like to take this opportunity to share a few of the lessons that I learned being on the front lines, in hopes that you can take them with you on your journey. The first lesson we learned was how resilient we are, and it is a virtue that we continue to nurture. When our community and our hospital was thrust into the epicenter of this evolving crisis, with virtually no notice, no supplies, and no playbook at having gone through anything like this before, we rallied, faced our fears, and moved headstrong into the crisis. With little time for preparation and no blueprints to follow, we had to rely on our expertise as caregivers to assess the situation and make timely decisions that would keep our staff and our patients safe. Our staff responded to every challenge with tremendous passion and the desire to do everything they could to care for our patients and keep our community safe. We were put to the test every day since our first COVID patient was admitted on March 9th. And in the past year, we cared for over 3,500 COVID patients and were able to return home over 3,200 to their loved ones. We took the place of many families who could not be at the hospital, holding their hands and connecting with their loved ones at home. This pandemic has shown us that we are stronger than we knew. And you too have demonstrated your own resilience. You have persevered and succeeded to be here today, and those skills are invaluable. And they will take you far in your career and in your life. And this leads to another important word that I encourage you to put into practice at every opportunity: teamwork. In healthcare, we depend on teamwork, but during this pandemic, it was critical. We relied on each other and found strength from each other. It is important to remember No matter who you are and how much knowledge you have, in the end, you are only one person. But together, we were so much more effective as a team. We all need a support system, a team to bounce ideas off, to offer diverse opinions, or even to provide the shoulder to lean on. As a leader, you are only as good as your team, so build strong teams. There is no way that our hospital could have accomplished all we did, saved all the lives we saved, and helped to stem the curve of this infection without each other and without the members of our community supporting us in so many different ways. It showed us that together we can accomplish anything, and so can you. Piece of advice number 3, don't stop growing. As you move forward in your career and gain more experience, you will look back at this moment, this extraordinary time in history, and say your success story began at the College of Westchester. But just because you have a degree doesn't mean your learning has stopped. My own story began 37 years ago when I joined White Plains Hospital as a nurse in the cardiac department. I began my career with an associate degree. And as my career progressed, I knew I had the capacity to do more, and I made education a priority. I have 2 master's degrees and recently went back to school to earn my doctorate of nursing practice, one of the highest degrees a nurse can earn. This allowed me to stay up to date with current practices and helped me to become a stronger leader as I helped to lead thousands of employees at the hospital through this crisis. I would like to encourage all of you to accept every opportunity to learn more about your profession, whether it is in business, interactive digital media and marketing, or healthcare. As a philosopher once said, the only thing that is constant is change. I will add, success requires embracing change. Without change, you are merely standing still. Continued education means you will not be left behind. You can remain relevant to the industry by keeping up to date with trends and adapting your skill set. To function effectively amongst this rapidly changing world, you need to learn new things to remain valuable. Education provides the foundation for change, keeps you hungry for change, and helps to identify opportunities. This may put you into the perfect position to seek out leadership opportunities, to lead the change. However, if you are already in a leadership position, you have a responsibility to provide the guidance your team needs to succeed. Continuing to educate yourself can help you do just that. By pursuing my doctorate degree, I hope to be a role model and inspiration for my team to commit to lifelong learning. They have prepared me to lead with confidence no matter what the challenge. Remember, the more time you invest in your own growth, the greater the reward. My final piece of advice for you today, embrace the struggle. I sincerely hope that none of us have to face again what we all faced last year. But I can promise you this, you will face many more challenges in your life in one form or another. I saw this with our patients recovering from COVID-19 and continue to see it every day in the patients struggling to overcome other diseases and disabilities, only to accomplish what they thought was impossible. Embrace the future. Just like you did this past year, you are more resilient today. Own it and let it guide you through the future challenges. Draw from your experiences, your education, and the life lessons that you have received at the College of Westchester and the year 2020, and you will achieve the extraordinary. Thank you for letting me share this special morning with you. Once again, congratulations to this year's College of Westchester graduates.